This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A child care agreement hailed as a historic moment is now being called a failure by a Manitoba chief. The deal gave Peguis First Nation authority over child welfare in its community. But now the chief is calling for it to be terminated, saying it's putting the safety and well-being of children at risk. But that's not what his predecessor said when control was handed over 3 years ago. CBC's Mike Arsenault reports.
It was a historic day for Peguis First Nation. In 2023, it became the first Indigenous community in Manitoba to take control of child welfare through an agreement with the federal and provincial governments. Then Chief Glenn Hudson said it was a long time coming.
I think the cycle's been broken now. It's our responsibility, it's our care that is going to be provided, and that is something that we haven't had in a long time.
3 years later, the current chief of Peguis First Nation, Dr. Stanley Bird, says the new system is failing.
That's why I'm calling on the province and the federal government to immediately terminate the coordination agreement and to reconstitute the agency under proper oversight and accountability.
Bird says he's heard concerns from parents and children, but didn't provide details. He says the system has no appeal process, no independent oversight, and lacks accountability. The Southern Chiefs Organization Grand Chief Jerry Daniels says the lack of safeguards leaves children vulnerable.
And so the coordination agreement was meant to provide cultural appropriate services, but instead has stripped away protections that every other family in Manitoba has.
When the agreement was signed, it gave Peguis jurisdiction over intake services, child abuse investigations, after-hour services, and intervention services for members on and off reserve. It included a 3-year, $319 million commitment from the federal government. Bird says the agreement didn't give the First Nation the control it was supposed to.
Ultimately, that authority, any authority by chief and council was basically stripped. So we have no say in terms of the processes that lie there. The nation needs to be responsible for the children.
Chief Dr. Bird didn't elaborate on why his council doesn't have a say in the Peguis CFS system, what changes he'd like to see in a new agreement, or what happened to the $319 million they received in funding. The Minister of Family says they're meeting with the chief as soon as possible to discuss his concerns. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The newest face of Manitoba's provincial court says she wants to pave the way for others. Judge Jerry Lee Ryle took her oath on an eagle feather and introduced herself to the court in Anishinaabe-Moan. Ryle is a member of Lake St. Martin First Nation and was called to the bar in 2006. She previously worked as a Crown prosecutor in the North. She was also given an eagle wing during the ceremony, a reminder that she's never alone.
I am deeply aware that I walk in the footsteps of those who paved the way, trailblazers who laid the foundation for progress. While we've made significant strides, the journey toward equity and justice continues. I hope that in some small way, my contribution helps light the path forward for those who come next.
She hopes her appointment inspires young Indigenous people working to become lawyers. The Winnipeg School Division wants its employees to roll up their sleeves. It's setting up a number of COVID and flu vaccination clinics. The superintendent says it had to bring in a lot of substitute teachers to cover sick calls last year, and many students missed long stretches with illnesses.
When we have guest teachers coming in, that's a real challenge to really understand the life of a particular school. And on certain days, we just don't have enough substitutes. And so we have learning support teachers coming into rooms. We have principals who will have to cover classes.
The division says it cost $8 million to pay subs last year, which would have been better spent in classrooms. Attacks on 2 MLA constituency offices in Winnipeg had left politicians on edge. While political violence in this province is nothing new and security is being tightened, as CBC's Bartley Kivas reports, observers feel things are getting worse.
The fires and vandalism in recent weeks at the offices of 2 NDP MLAs have brought back unpleasant memories for Rochelle Squires. The former PC MLA had her office vandalized in 2016 when the Pallister government brought in a Labour bill.
I feel really, really disheartened, and my heart goes out to my former MLA colleagues, Bernadette Smith and Nahani Fontaine. It is very clear they are two strong women, Indigenous women, and they're being targeted.
Squires says she feels attacks on elected officials have gotten worse, especially for women in politics.
Especially as a woman leader, I always had a level of fear that accompanied me throughout the duration of my political career. What I saw intensify was the level of attacks, whether it be on social media or face-to-face.
This political scientist says there's merit to the idea political life has become more dangerous, even in the context of this being the only province founded in an act of armed resistance.
Manitoba is the only province that came into Confederation to the sound of gunshots.
There have also been more recent incidents of political violence in this province. Franco-Manitoban institutions in Winnipeg were firebombed in the early 80s. PC Cabinet Minister Marcel Laurendeau was kidnapped and locked in the trunk of a car in the 90s. Several Manitoba premiers, beginning with Greg Selinger, suffered office vandalism. And during the pandemic, a protester drove a truck up the steps of the Manitoba Legislative Building.
There are things in our history of violence, and not to mention the 1919 Winnipeg general strike. So it's not always peaceful politics in Manitoba. But I would say, though, that things have crossed a line over the past couple of months.
Security has been tightened at the legislature. The current premier says that can only go so far.
The legislature is not a fortress. The legislature is the people's building. Any decisions we take on security have to be balanced with you, the people of Manitoba's right to be able to access your government.
Nonetheless, there is now talk of extending protective services and technology to more MLAs. Bartley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Indigenous women and girls are 6 times more likely to be murdered than other groups of people in Canada. They are people's daughters, sisters, mothers, and friends. Today, dozens took to the streets to call for an end to the violence and mistreatment of Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit individuals. It comes ahead of the National Day of Action, honoring those taken or missing. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
Step by step, people made their way from the North End Women's Centre to drum and sing at all 4 corners of Salter Street and Selkirk Avenue. Aja Sheikh helped organize Friday's event. She says they came here to call for an end to harm against Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people in an area of the city that has been a place where they have been exploited, mistreated, and gone missing from.
It's really meaningful for them because we're taking back space and we're reminding people we're still here, and like a lot of crime does happen around here, so just to be able to take back our space is really important to us.
Some who came to Friday's event reflected on their own experiences in the area.
I used to be exploited in this area. I was human trafficked out of this area. So for me, it's sentimental to have an important initiative such as an event for MMIWG within this jurisdiction.
Alea McIver also says an important step forward will be fully implementing the calls for justice from the final report of the National MMIWG inquiry.
Not just, sitting on a shelf collecting dust, so to speak.
A CBC analysis in 2023 found only 2 of the 231 calls to action had been completed. More than half hadn't been started.
It's really powerful to see how many people showed up today on the streets corners to drum and just sound our voices. I think it's really important that we continue to show up to events like these to let our relatives know, our sisters know that we care about them.
Schick says she hopes the momentum will continue into Saturday's Day of Action for MMIWG 2S.
I hope that people will maybe still have that push from Truth and Reconciliation Day, that they can go out and try to make a change and go talk about the issues.
She also wants to see a day where Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people no longer face violence. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All right, well, it's time now for a check on our forecast with weather specialist Helena Mahalik.
It is a bit of a gloomier evening in the province, and there is some heavy rainfall coming our way. Let's take a look and see where that is in the province. Friday evening, there is a rainfall warning in effect for Winnipeg, Steinbeck, Fort Alexander, and surrounding areas. There's showers with a risk of severe thunderstorms. Risks include wind gusts up to 90 kilometers an hour, hail anywhere from quarter to golf ball sized, and those heavy periods of rain prompting some of those warnings. As we look ahead to Saturday, it will be mainly sunny as we start our day, and some cloud coverage builds as the day goes on. We start our day with temperatures in the mid-teens and just a very light breeze. As we get into the noon hour, we see temperatures close to 20 degrees, and that's really where we're going to stay for most of the day. And there will be some rain coming in later in the afternoon as well. And Brittany, I'll have your full forecast coming up.
All right, thanks, Helena. Coming up, these giant gourds double as wrecking balls. After the break, we'll take you to a pumpkin patch with a hefty harvest. This is Manitoba, and this is Manitoba on your smart TV, because CBC News is now streaming local. Local news and weather on your connected TV or favorite device. CBC News Manitoba, streaming now. South Winnipeg will have a new emergency room by mid-2027. Shovels will be in the ground in the new year to start construction on the new ER at Victoria Hospital. Premier Wab Kinew says they now have enough staff to safely move forward. The ER was eliminated under the previous PC government in 2017. The space is being reworked to improve patient flow.
I think one of the biggest issues is going to be space, having an appropriate amount of space. Access between where the clinicians chart and the patients, that needs to be a short space. Easy access to diagnostics. Those would be some of my top of my list.
New ER will include additional beds, diagnostic capacity, and a high observation unit, but no ICU. It will also house the Mature Women's Centre and Ann Oak Recovery Centre. Construction is expected to begin early next year. Well, what you're about to see is not your ordinary pumpkin patch. A Winkler couple have been growing gigantic gourds, with each one weighing more than half a ton. Those pumpkins will now be headed to Roland this weekend for the Great Pumpkin Weigh-In. Community reporter Shanalee Vidal was in Winkler to get a look.
They don't believe it's even real, because all they have ever seen is something like this. Some have to actually feel them and see if it is actually real.
We go check them every day, so it's something to look forward to, actually.
Yeah.
Because you're always hoping for a better and bigger, right? I'm Helen Banman.
I'm Corny Banman.
And these are
our pumpkins. And it looks good.
The Banmans live in Winkler, where they grow enormous pumpkins. Those get brought to the pumpkin fair in Roland for an annual competition to see who can grow the biggest pumpkin. In the patch, though, the actual pounds can only be estimated by measuring the pumpkin's circumference.
This one's about 1,200. That one is about 1,160. The other one's about 1,400. And the last one is about 1,300. This is where it's planted. This would be the main system here. And then it goes all the way out there to that end there, about 40 feet. In August, they were just these stripes were here, orange. The rest was white like this, and now it's starting to change color. Yeah, this one's about 5 feet wide. I'm trying to get an extra big pellet to put it on that it doesn't hang over the sides and all of a sudden break.
That's going to be a lot of work, I would imagine, to cart them off.
We do it with a bobcat and a sling, and you just lift it up like an egg in the basket.
Okay.
That one I'm thinking is going to be mine, and this one is probably going to be hers, and that one is probably going to be my son's, and the other one I'm not quite sure yet. We'll first see if it makes it.
So how do you decide who gets what pumpkin?
He always has to have the biggest one. The one that looks the biggest has to be his, and I get the second runner-up.
So Helen's pumpkin could actually beat yours.
Oh, yeah.
They could be with the weight, because you never know.
You don't know how thick the walls are. Yeah, the walls are about that thick, about 8 inches.
Oh, wow.
And by the stem end, they can be up to 12 inches. And we have had that the pumpkins are 15% heavier than the measure. So if that's the case, then I might lose. She might win.
Yep, maybe.
Why pumpkins?
I don't know. My brother used to do this, and he says, well, you should try.
No, he still does it.
He still does, too. He used to be the Manitoba record holder of biggest one grown in Manitoba. And then I think the 4th or 5th years into it, then I beat him by 200 pounds.
It's not just family making fruitful competition for Corny Banman. Last year, his pumpkin was runner-up to Charlie Bernstrom from Minnesota, whose entry tipped the scale at more than 2,000 pounds and is out to sweep the weigh-in once again.
Yeah, he's bringing something like 1,800 pounds.
Corny is the champion pumpkin grower of Manitoba, though, thanks to his 1,600-pounder a few years back. But no matter who is this year's winner, the Banman's biggest pumpkin will be getting a lot of attention.
The biggest one is going to go to the Fruit and More store. She's the manager there. and a lot of people come there and take pictures.
Well, they most of the time ask, like, how heavy is it, or how did you grow it? Well, the answer is always the same. It's just like you water and whatever, and hoping for the best weather, right?
All of these giant pumpkins will be headed to the fair in Roland, but not all of them are going to be leaving in one piece, thanks to an event that's a giant smash. This particular pumpkin is going to be lifted high up with a crane and then dropped onto a piano. At last year's fair, a pumpkin was dropped onto a car and crushed. The pumpkin didn't fare too well either. What's it like to see something you've worked so hard for just to be smashed to pieces like that?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's 1 second and basically it's all over. One kaboom and that's it. And the vine looks good.
Shanley Vidal, CBC News, Winkler.
All right, well, it is time to trade in the sunnies for sweaters because rain is on the way. Time now for a check on our forecast with weather specialist Helena Mahalik.
It will be a bit of a chillier weekend, and there is going to be some rainfall as well. Perfect to stay inside or maybe even check out a local fall supper in your community. Let's take a look and see what the weather will be like for some of those fall suppers. On Saturday, we do have some in Rosenfeld and Enola. We are going to see mainly cloudy skies, but temperatures will still be quite nice in the high teens or low 20s. Sunday is really the day you might want to get inside and have some pumpkin pie. It will be raining and temperatures will be in the low teens. We do have some rainfall coming our way this weekend. Saturday, we are going to see scattered showers in the south and in the north as well. It's really Sunday where our big system is coming in, passing through the south. For areas like Winnipeg, some thunderstorms will be associated with that system. In the early afternoon, it is starting to move out of the province there. And as we get into Monday, what is that on our map? Could it be snow? Yes, already there is a chance of snow in the north for areas around Norway House Monday morning. So we do have a good amount of moisture, especially that big system on Sunday. Anywhere from 30 to close to 40 millimeters of rainfall is expected for areas around Winnipeg. In the north, anywhere from 10 to 12 millimeters could be expected with that system. On Saturday, we are going to see a bit of a stronger storm as well, and there is a chance of severe thunderstorms with strong winds, some bigger hail up to golf ball sized, and periods of heavy rainfall as well. Friday, we just had a little bit of a breeze in the province up north, and Saturday, we're going to continue to see a lighter breeze. Most of the wind up north, areas around Churchill. It's really Sunday with some of those stronger rains that we're seeing winds pick up. And in the next coming days, Saturday, we will see mainly sunny skies, temperatures still in those low 20s, a bit of a breeze as well, but our overnight lows are still in the double digits. As we get into Sunday, we see a drop in temperatures by almost 10 degrees as we have that good chance of moisture with that big system of rain coming in. Our overnight lows are still above seasonal, but with temperatures on Monday, we are seeing our overnight lows returning to seasonal. And Brittany, I'll have your full 7-day forecast coming up.
All right, thanks, Helena. Well, we have much more to come straight ahead. Stay with us. Hamas has responded to Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza. The militant group says it will release all Israeli hostages, alive or dead. It has also agreed to hand over administration of the Gaza Strip to a body of Palestinian independence. It did not rule out being part of that administration. The war in Gaza reaches the 2-year mark next Tuesday. Trump's peace plan has been accepted by Israel and some Arab leaders. Late Friday, Trump asked Israel to stop bombing Gaza now that Hamas says it's open to negotiations. The militant group's statement does not say anything about laying down its arms as Trump demanded. Trump has given Hamas until Sunday to respond, saying it's the last chance. New information is emerging about the deadly attack outside a synagogue in Manchester, England. The suspect in the car ramming and knife attack was shot dead by police at the scene. Officers have arrested 3 other people in connection with the attack. Julia Chapman has the latest from London.
Police have released details of both the victims and the attacker involved in yesterday's incident. They've named the men killed as 53-year-old Adrian Dolby and 66-year-old Melvin Kravitz. Police say one of the dead, we don't know which one, suffered a gunshot wound, as did one of the 3 people left injured, although that person is not in a life-threatening condition. The suspect wasn't carrying a firearm, so it's believed that a police officer accidentally shot 2 innocent people while trying to stop the attack. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been visiting the scene in Manchester today, where he praised emergency responders.
I am absolutely clear in my mind as to the professionalism of the response, the speed of the response, and also that an absolutely awful incident would have been even worse if it hadn't been for your response.
Police have also announced that the perpetrator is thought to be 35-year-old Jihad al-Shami. He was killed at the scene. He wasn't previously known to the security services, and an investigation is now ongoing as to what his motives might have been. Jewish leaders say this is the culmination of 2 years of rising anti-Semitism in Britain.
There is so much more that needs to be done if the deaths of these 2 poor souls are to mean anything.
There's also been a debate unfolding over protests due to take place in London. The weekly demonstrations started as pro-Palestinian marches, but recently many have taken up the cause of Palestine Action, which has been outlawed in the UK. London's police force has asked organisers to call off tomorrow's march because they say it will draw police resources away from communities at a sensitive time. A group called Defend Our Juries, which has been organising the demonstrations, responded to that request, first condemning the Manchester attack and calling it genuine terrorism. But it urged the force to focus on community policing rather than arresting peaceful protesters. And it said that postponing the protest risks conflating the actions of the State of Israel with the Jewish people, who it stressed bear no responsibility. Around 1,500 people are expected to attend tomorrow. If all of them are arrested, it could be a record for the number of detentions at one protest here. Julia Chapman, CBC News, London.
A woman will lead the Church of England for the first time in history. Sarah Mullally has been named Archbishop of Canterbury. Briar Stewart looks at the challenges she faces.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Welcome. It's fitting that even before Sarah Mullally is confirmed as the Archbishop of Canterbury, she met with students.
Hi.
More than 4,000 schools in the UK are run by the Church of England.
There's no oil in the pan.
An institution that has been recently plagued by scandal.
As a church, we have too often failed to recognise or take seriously the misuse of power in all its forms.
Mullally's appointment comes after her predecessor, Justin Welby, resigned last year over the church's handling of a prolific child abuser. Mullally, who is currently the Bishop of London, has pushed for a more open and transparent church. Mullally will become the first woman to hold the title of Archbishop of Canterbury in more than 1,400 years, making her the spiritual leader of more than 80 million Anglicans.
It's very good. It's very exciting news. But I wouldn't want people to think, because of this, that there is equality for women and men in the church.
This London-based vicar says there's still division among some conservative corners about whether women should be in leadership positions in the church. In Nigeria, which is home to nearly 20 million Anglicans, Malali's appointment is divisive. She's advocated for blessings for same-sex couples.
What is our ideology regarding the LGBTQ, which is, kind of ravaging the West, and the Church of Nigeria is strongly and 100% against the LGBTQ movement.
Still, others support her.
It's also a way that God will prove to our generation that what he has been using men to do, he can also use women to do it.
Malali, a former nurse, has advocated for asylum seekers and spoken out against medically assisted dying.
Across our nation today, we are wrestling with complex moral and political questions.
Straight ahead, please.
Issues she will have to confront when she officially takes on the role in January. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. President Donald Trump will meet in person next week. Kate McKenna looks at what might be on the agenda.
Mark Carney is going back for round two. His office confirmed a meeting with President Donald Trump next Tuesday.
It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us.
It'll mark his first visit to the White House since his trip to the Oval Office last May.
With Donald Trump, you really never know, do you? I mean, the Prime Minister is heading once more into the lion's den to have a conversation.
The Prime Minister is already in a pressure cooker.
Where's the win?
The opposition is pushing for results, a new trade deal the Prime Minister promised, and reprieve from biting tariffs on the steel, aluminum, auto, and lumber sectors.
Since Mr. Carney took office promising to be a brilliant negotiator, American tariffs on Canada have more than doubled, and they have much broadened.
And Trump made yet another quip this week about annexing Canada, while telling American military officials Canada wants to be part of a missile defense system.
To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free.
The Prime Minister's office says this visit will focus on shared priorities in a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the U.S. Canada's point person on U.S. trade says he's optimistic some sort of agreement can still be reached.
I have lost the illusion that we should predict in precise time when we might get to an agreement. An agreement can take many different forms. My view is an agreement is something that would improve the circumstance that we're in today.
Despite the ups and downs, Mark Carney has maintained a relationship with Trump, texting and meeting at international summits.
It's clearly a good thing that Mark Carney and Donald Trump seem to have a good working relationship, and the tone between them is constructive, positive, and respectful. But I would say that only goes so far, because Donald Trump believes in what he believes in.
And if there's one thing Donald Trump has made clear he believes in, it's tariffs. So far, Mark Carney hasn't been able to change the president's mind on that. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
The U.S. federal government shutdown will continue through to Monday. The latest attempt at a resolution, which was drawn up by Republican lawmakers, failed to gain the required 60 votes in the Senate. Tony Waterman has the details.
Any sliver of hope that this shutdown would be short-lived were dashed on Friday. As expected, both of these dueling funding bills failed to pass the Senate, and with Republicans dismissed for the weekend, this shutdown will now stretch into next week with very few signs of any meaningful progress. Republicans are really pushing for a 7-week funding extension, saying this will offer plenty of time to negotiate with Democrats on health care, but Dems are worried about a bait and switch, agreeing to reopen the government only for Republicans to allow those health care subsidies to expire. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of federal workers are at home without pay or have been working without pay, with the prospect of losing their jobs completely. President Trump says this shutdown is an unprecedented opportunity to shrink the federal government, to lay people off permanently, something that is completely unprecedented during a government shutdown. He even posted a video of his budget chief, Russ Vought, as the Grim Reaper, seemingly going after government employees. Now, some people around the president are trying to downplay this. We heard from the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, earlier on Friday, saying that no one, including Trump, is enjoying this, calling it an unenviable task. Perhaps that is a signal that Republicans are somewhat concerned this could backfire on them, especially if thousands of federal workers are let go, something that President Trump has been trying to do since he returned to the White House in January. This is ultimately, though, a battle for public opinion. That is what is going to decide which side caves first. So even with lawmakers having gone home, we can expect to hear a lot from them this weekend. Tony Waterman for CBC News, Washington.
A judge has sentenced Sean Diddy Combs to 4 years and 2 months in prison. The hip-hop mogul was convicted on 2 prostitution-related charges in July. He was found guilty of flying people across the U.S. for sexual encounters. Several of his children asked the judge to give their father a second chance. A Miami reverend said he would personally guide Combs' rehabilitation. Combs addressed the court begging for mercy and apologizing to his victims. He attributed his actions to substance abuse. Prosecutors had been seeking an 11-year sentence. The defense had argued he should get no more than 14 months. Combs was acquitted in July of sex trafficking and racketeering charges that could have put him behind bars for life. They're a team with an unlikely storyline, but fans are rallying around the Toronto Blue Jays as they head into Game 1 of the American League Division Series. We'll have more on that after the break. Stay with us. The Toronto Blue Jays take on the New York Yankees tomorrow in Game 1. The CBC's Jamie Strachan has the preview.
And the Yankees have completed step 1.
Bring on the big bad Yankees, who finished just behind the Toronto Blue Jays in the standings, but are still favored in this series.
We know them well, played them 13 times during the season, and we own that series, which is why we're division champs.
Guerrero to Lauer, and they've done it.
Excitement around this team is through the roof. Nearly 2.5 million people in Canada watched the Jays' pennant-clinching game. Fans from across the country already showing off fresh merch.
It's Canada's team. It's the pride that we take.
I think in the way the world is right now, there's no better time for Canada to have a team to bring the country together.
There's even support from south of the border.
No, a Red Sox fan through and through.
Why the Blue Jay hat then?
Well, I want to see the Blue Jays beat them damn Yankees, that's for sure.
The Jays clubhouse has taken note.
It's an unbelievable honor to play for a country. And I think this team, more than any other team I've been around, has kind of leaned into that a little bit, and they understand kind of how many people are watching them every night.
George Springer has left the yard.
This season's success was unexpected. Odds makers predicted the team would win around 75 games. They won 94, propelled by a collection of improbable storylines.
You could feel it in spring training, how they kind of had the mentality of they didn't care what anyone else thought of us.
George Springer, written off by many at age 36, has been the team's MVP. Players with minimal big league experience like Addison Barger, Ernie Clement, and Nathan Lucas became key contributors.
There's that real sense of unity and a real sense of their friends as well as teammates. And I think over the course of a 162-game season, that really pays off.
Now the real test begins. First pitch of the divisional series is set for Saturday in Toronto. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, well, time now for a check on our forecast with weather specialist Helena Mahalik. Helena.
It will be a bit of a chillier weekend, but Friday in the province, some areas were still feeling closer to summer. Let's take a look and see just how hot some areas got. Places like Winnipeg and Steinbeck still close to 30 degrees in the first week of October. Brandon in the low 20s, Dauphin in the mid-teens, and then the farther north you get, you do have temperatures in those low teens. In the next coming days, it will be still some nice weather to walk your dog, although you may want to grab a rain jacket. Temperatures will be in the mid to high teens with some cloud coverage, but it still might be a nice day to get outside and enjoy the outdoors like Sush here. Thank you so much to Brett for submitting this photo. If you would like your dog submitted on the show, you can email talkback@cbc.ca. And in the coming days, in terms of our temperatures, we will see a bit of a shift. Saturday, things will still be warm, but that rain is going to make things feel cooler. It's really Sunday where we see our drop down. In the south, temperatures will be in the low teens, and the north will be dropping down to the single digits. But we have an even bigger drop down coming on Monday. All of our bright colors disappearing from our map here, and even the south will be below 10 degrees. The entire province will be in the single digits for our daytime highs, and our overnight lows will be freezing or below freezing. As for Friday night in the south, there is a chance of rainfall for places in and around Brandon, and our overnight lows are going to still be above seasonal for this time of year, above 10 degrees, hovering in those low teens there. And in the north, we are seeing our temperatures still above seasonal and in those single digits there. We have some rainfall for places like Norway House, and the rest of the province still just seeing a mainly cloudy night. And as we look ahead to Saturday in the north, there is going to be a chance of showers for places like Tuduli Lake. It still will be a pretty warm day. We're seeing temperatures into the mid-teens, and the sun will still be out for places like Grand Rapids. As we look to the south, there is those scattered showers as well, and temperatures are still going to be feeling quite warm. Not quite as hot as what we've seen, but getting closer to that 20-degree mark, and some mainly cloudy skies as well. And Brittany, I'll have the rest of the week coming up.
Thank you, Helena. Well, the Essen Light Festival in Germany is promoting peace this week through a display of light and music.
I think a good thing about the Essen Light Festival is that it's pretty international and many cultures come together. They mix in a form of art. It's about peace, it's about harmony, light coming together, and this is what peace is all about.
The festival is celebrating its 10th anniversary with installations reflecting the theme Imagine Peace. It features past favorites and new installations from artists around the world. It's grown into one of the top light festivals in Europe. She came to Canada to start over, a chance for her son to grow up safe after escaping the war in Ukraine. But her fresh start was almost over as quickly as it began. A refugee with no friends and no family, Julie Dryhack had no help looking after her son while she worked to build their new life here in Winnipeg, until she met Faith.
The shark it has feet and it's wearing boots.
My son Makar means to me everything. I had my life before him and I feel like it never existed. Like, he's everything. So when Russia invaded, I thought, like, if that's gonna happen, I'm just gonna pack everything and leave the country because I don't want my son to see that.
This unverified video purports to show the moment Kharkiv's city center was hit. It marks 3 days now of heavy bombardment and civilian casualties.
When we got this news that the war began, I remember that night. And to be honest, even though if I had that decision, it was hard to make it.
Oh my God, we should see.
Before the war began, that was just normal life. And the war helped me to realize that actually I had a pretty good life. When Russia invaded Ukraine and it was such a mess, everyone was leaving the country and like we spent 4 days in a car.
About 400,000 Ukrainians have fled in just 4 days. The exodus is accelerating. More head for the borders if they can. Their sense of security shattered.
I was terrified because like now you know that that's the point when everything's gonna be changed. I felt so guilty that I left the country because I saw so many women and men who went to the war just to protect the land. And my dad said the most important thing is just to save your kid. You did everything right.
Julia and Makar have come through this time in their lives which was very chaotic, leaving the country within 1 day. These are decisions that she as a single mother had to make in a flash.
Put your feet up there, then you can see. Yeah.
Living in a new country is really challenging. You've got new language, you've got new customs, you've got all kinds of new things for you and for your family.
When I came to Canada, it's hard to trust at the very beginning when you don't know the system, you don't know how everything works.
Okay.
We had a difficult time finding daycare. To be honest, it was really hard and I was absolutely desperate. I was even thinking like, okay, so maybe I should go back to Ukraine, find a small village that's probably won't get hurt by Russia.
The day that we met Julia and Makar, we were playing across the street at the park.
They started chatting with us because they are very open and kind people.
It became evident that she needed childcare for after school.
So we exchanged our phone numbers, and after 2 days, perhaps, Faith called me and she said that she want to invite us over their place, and then they said that they want to help us.
I think you need some support. So I want us to be your Canadian family. And further to that, we would like to provide childcare for your little son.
That was such a release. It's even hard to describe these emotions when I knew that I've met people that I can trust. I remember that feeling when I don't have to worry what's going on with my son because I know he's safe. Just hard to describe these emotions and how much I'm grateful for everything. And I know that for them, it also wasn't easy.
1, 2, 3. Very good job.
When it comes to who should be coming to Canada, opinions are mixed, especially when it comes to refugees. Many Canadians see no distinction between crossing a border to claim asylum with illegal migration.
Do refugees have a lot to teach us as Canadians? Absolutely. To be part of someone's life, even if it's tough, it's the right thing to do. And it is so important.
She doesn't babysit Makar, she's a nana for Makar, and she is a really close person for me. She's like a second mom.
She's a strong, strong woman, and she's a wonderful mother. And to be part of that with her is really a gift.
Still ahead, a superhero showdown, all for the kids. Plus, your last check on our forecast is ahead. Stay with us. Well, you could call him a flight risk. A local rescue is asking for the public's help to find Frog the cat. Frog went missing from the Winnipeg airport last Thursday. Canine Advocacy Manitoba says Frog was in transit to Abbotsford, BC, when he escaped his carrier in the arrivals area. He was originally found as a stray in the RM of St. Anne. He was set to be euthanized until the advocacy group stepped in. If you see Frog the cat, please call the rescue group.
It has been a beautiful start to the month, but we are in for a cool down this weekend. Let's take a look and see the temperatures for the city of Winnipeg. Saturday, we are going to be seeing mainly sunny skies. Temperatures still in the low 20s, just a bit of a breeze, but our overnight lows 10 degrees above seasonal. Sunday, we do have some rainfall, cooling things down by almost 10 degrees, and our overnight lows still above seasonal, but that's dropping down as we get into Monday. Things are going to stay quite cool. Tuesday, we will be close to freezing for our lows. Into Wednesday, the sun is going to be out and temperatures are slowly climbing back up. Into Thursday, close to 20 degrees. So, Brittany, temperatures will be warmer after all.
Thanks, Helena. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Patients at one Winnipeg hospital were treated to a superhero surprise today. That's our Daily Lift. And no, you don't need to get your eyes checked. That really is Batman hanging off the side of HSC Children's Hospital. It's all part of the Suspended Superheroes fundraiser. From doctors and firefighters to politicians, they traded in their scrubs and suits, all to help raise money. It came with many smiles and waves and, of course, a much-needed distraction for some of the kids in care inside the hospital and for those taking part. It was a memorable experience.
All the teams that helped us, rookies, learn how to rappel, and it was really exciting. It's all about the children. And so to be able to come down the side of the building, stop at the windows and see the kids, it's pretty emotional.
So far, nearly $90,000 has been raised to support the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba. A great cause and an even better day for it outside. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday. Have a great night.